Hello my lovelies, you might notice something is a little bit different. I did just dye my hair red. It's a super big change, but I am in love with it. Anyways, today we're going to be doing another tutorial using the KathleenLights So Jaded palette. I started off with some tape, just to keep the edges of the eyeshadow sharp. And then I'm going to go ahead and just prime with the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion. And then we're going to go ahead and start by just blending the shade Royal Jewels all throughout the crease, all the way from the outer corner all the way through to the inner corner. Once that's all blended in, we're going to jump in with the shade Geodude. And I'm using this on a slightly smaller fluffy brush and just blending this lower through the crease. And again, it's going to go all the way from the outer corner up through the inner corner. And then we're going to take a drink of coffee. And then once that's all blended out, we're going to start with the shade Jade on a more flat, dense eyeshadow brush. And I'm just going to start packing this, starting on the outer corner. And we're going to end up eventually having it about halfway across the lid. But you can see here I'm just going to repeatedly go back from packing on the color and then blending it out. I did realize I wasn't going out to the edge of my eyeshadow, so that's just what I'm fixing here. But yeah, again, so we're just going to build it up and blend it out, just because I want to get the intensity I want, but I also want everything to stay nice and blended. I am going to take this smaller, slightly angled fluffy brush just to blend that green into the crease. So I'm just picking up a tiny bit of that Jade shade and then blending it just through the top of the crease there. Now we're going to go ahead and pick up the Peridot shade just on our finger. And this shade is so gorgeous. The color payoff is just amazing and it's so creamy. And I'm just blending this with my finger on the inner half of the eyelid. And then taking that same small angled fluffy brush with a tiny bit of Jade and just blending all the edges together. And I am taking just a little bit across the top of that Peridot shade so that it blends nicely into the rest of the look. And then again, just going to intensify that shade a little bit more. And then once we have everything to a point we like it, I'm going to go ahead and just make sure our little line of tape is marked well. Because it is a little bit lower than I normally do, I want to have that line just marked out before we move on to the face. As always, I'm going in with my Touch in Soul No Pore-blem primer, starting out with it kind of centered on the T-zone of my face, and then blending any excess product out towards the outer edges. Then for foundation today, I am using the NYX Born to Glow foundation in the shade Vanilla, and I am just going to blend that out with my beauty blender. And I just love how this foundation looks. It's very full coverage, but it still just gives you the most gorgeous glow. But once we have that all blended out, I'm just going to be using my Kokie Illuminating Concealer, or maybe it's the Be Bright Concealer, something like that. I am just going to conceal the under eye areas, starting out blending out most of it with the sponge, and very carefully going along that little eyeshadow line right there. And then for the very inner corners of the eyes, I am actually going to take a brush just so that we're not messing up our eyeshadow and just blend it up that very inner corner of the eye there. Then I'm just dragging it down just a little bit more to cover some redness, and then we're going to set it down with my Coty Airspun powder. And I'm just taking this small fluffy brush, and I didn't like the way this felt with this powder. But yeah, I'm going to set the majority of my face with this smaller fluffy brush. And then once I get to my cheek area, I am going to switch to a larger fluffy brush just to save myself a little time. And I'm just going to press the powder into the skin there. And then we're going to go ahead and bronze using the Tarte Double Duty Beauty contour and highlight palette, just using the bronzer shade from that, and bronzing the typical areas under the cheekbones, temples, and across the forehead, and then a little bit on the kind of sides of my nose, just to bring that warmth to the center of the face. And then I'm just going to take a, once all the bronzer's on, I'm just going to take a buffing brush and just go over everywhere. We just put that down to make sure everything is nice and smooth. Then I'm going to move on to eyebrows, and I'm using the NYX Fill and Fluff eyebrow pencil in the shade Auburn. And this has like a little soft brush on one end, and then more of like a triangle shaped brow pencil, so it definitely gives more of a soft, fluffier look than like a very harsh defined brow look. And I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I just bought this one when I dyed my hair because I needed something red, but I've been enjoying it so far, so we're gonna go ahead and just fill in the brows with that. Then once those are all good, we're gonna take another drink of coffee and finish up the eyes. So I'm going to just kind of repeat our color process on the lower lash line. So starting with a very small fluffy brush, I'm going to blend the Royal Jewels shade, then the Geodude shade, and then eventually the Jade shade. And I'm just trying to blend it out so it's nice and soft and smoky. I am going to go for more of a defined brush for the Jade color, but I'm just matching up where the eyeshadow from the top lash line came down. It's moved out just a little bit, like I said, from where I normally put it. So I am just lining those up and then blending it all out for a nice smoky look. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull that Peridot shade just down barely through the inner corner and a little bit onto the lower lash line. Then I'm going to re-intensify that with that same brush really quick. And then we're going to go ahead and I'm giving everything one more good blend before we highlight. And for the highlight shade today, I'm going to use the shade Moonstone, taking this on a little tiny brush and just highlighting the inner corners and the brow bone. And this is a gorgeous kind of slightly champagne shade with little like bluish glitters. And it's just gorgeous. I love it. So just blending that out on the brow bone, and then we're going to go ahead and blush. And this is the Bella Pierre Cosmetics blush in Autumn Glow. And I don't know why I don't use this blush more often, because I love it when I do use it. It just gives like the most gorgeous peachy glow, and I just love it every single time. Then we're going to go ahead and highlight with the Makeup Forever. This is the Pro Light Fusion Illuminizer. And we're just going to go ahead and highlight again the normal areas. So cheekbones, down the nose and tip of the nose, and then Cupid's bow, and then just a tiny bit on the chin and the center of the forehead. And once that is all applied, we're going to go ahead and just spray down the NYX Bear With Me spray, and then pat that in with a beauty blender just to put some moisture back into the skin. Then we're going to go ahead and just apply some mascara. And then I'm going to go through a couple different lip choices here. the first one I applied is the Colourpop Lux Lipstick in the shade Boy. And I bought this to be just like a completely blank nude lipstick, and I just haven't gotten myself to wear it yet. Then after that, I tried the AOA Studio Wonder Matte Liquid Lipstick in the shade Vintage, and I didn't like that either, so I'm just going to touch up the edges of my lips. And then I decided to go with this C'est Moi Reflect Lip Gloss in the shade Bliss, and it's just this really kind of juicy, pinky, mauve-y kind of gloss, and I liked how it looked with this look, so that's what I ended up going with. Then we're going to pop on these red cherry lashes. I can't remember off the top of my head which style this is, so I will have that in the description below, of course. We're just going to apply those, and then we're going to have our finished look. If I can get my lashes on. But yeah, this is the finished look. I think it turned out super gorgeous. This Peridot shade is so pretty, and I'm just in love with how this whole look turned out, and I loved how it went with my hair too. But I really hope you guys enjoyed watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe before you go. And of course, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post a new video. And I will see you guys all in my next one.